I've seen the fire in our nation's eyes when anger prowls for prey. I've heard good people draw their lines and call it holy rage. But the cross was never raised to bless the stones we throw. And if mercy leaves the house, there's something wrong down in the soul. Words ain't bullets, but they can hit the same. And once a heart turns cold enough, it forgets what grace is for. There's no room for hate in America tonight. No room in the home where the children need the light. No room in the heart where the Savior's supposed to stay. If Jesus owns the house, then hatred don't got no place. No room for hate. No, no room for hate. No room for hate. You can wave a flag above it, you can quote a verse or two, you can dress it up like justice till it almost sounds like truth. But outrage ain't righteous when it changes with the side. And you can't love your neighbor treating them like they're downrange. We're all image bearers, breath of God and dust. And you don't heal a broken land by teaching it not to trust. There's no room for hate in America tonight. No room in the home where the children need the light. No room in the heart where the Savior's supposed to stay. If Jesus owns the house, then hatred don't got no place. No room for hate. No room for hate. No room for hate. Drag it to the cross, lay it in the ground. Let the blood of Jesus turn the whole thing around. Truth can still be spoken, courage still can stand, but rage don't get to rule the soul of a faithful man. There's no room for hate in America tonight. No room in the home where the children need the light. No room in the heart where the Savior's supposed to stay. If Jesus owns the house, then hatred don't got no place.
Let revival start where the anger breaks.
Where the anger breaks.
Let healing rise up where the hurt gives way.
No room for hate.
No room for hate.
No, no room for hate.
No room for hate.
Not in Jesus' name. Oh, not in this house. Not in this heart. Not in His name. No room for hate.
Remember when entertainment was actually entertaining? When comedy was about being funny, movies were about telling great stories, and you didn't need a political lecture every time you hit play. Great entertainment still exists, it's just getting harder to find. Even the biggest streaming platforms leave audiences disappointed. That's why there's Studio TST, pure entertainment, real comedy, independent films, bold creators, movies, comedy, music, and more, and the home of fearless sketch comedy. That show tonight, entertainment the way you want it. Funny, creative, unapologetic, and agenda-free. Studio TST, the future of entertainment starts here. Join Studio TST today for just $5 a month.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
Yeah. An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez. Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, so we're going to do the whole talking over the intro thing for a minute because I had an entire show prepped, as you can see from the title that you may be seeing on X, YouTube, and Rumble. Well, not Rumble yet because I have to go manually update that one, and I haven't had time yet. But as usual, the news cycle laughed in Hold My Beer. And yeah, this is not going to be a fun show for me because I really try to do everything I can to look at everything through the lens of logic and rationality. And then I woke up this morning, started turning on the news feed and everything, and saw Donald Trump use words that I knew were coming out of his mouth at some point to explain why we went from unconditional surrender to, well, what happened was, and that's, and I still may get into that part of the show because there is an explanation there. We have fought, everybody says, with one hand tied behind our back ever since the end of World War II, but that's not really true. So we put together a bunch of different doctrines and all kinds of different things that not only helped tie the world's economies together, but also kind of made us the stewards of those economies. So beginning with Korea forward, we were fighting. We had our hand on the trigger with one hand and the other on the economic scales balancing the world, which is why pretty much up until now, everything has been fought to a stalemate ever since. And there are logical, rational reasons as to why that keeps happening, even with what's happening with Iran. However, once we get the rest of the way through this intro, I've got a clip, and then I'm probably going to rant because I can defend a lot of things the president has said and done when I look at them using logic and rational thought. I don't think I can defend this one. All right, so again, officially, welcome back into the program. Again, a lot of the show notes have just gone flying out the window. It's not my fault, damn it. It's really not this time. I had the whole show prepped. I was going to talk about everything that happened with the primaries last night. We still may get into some of that because there was primary news everywhere. A lot of the more liberal leftist folks in my state are really upset today because the state question regarding the minimum wage did not pass. All I can say is, to all of my Oklahomies out there, thank you, because mom and pop shops are very happy today because they're less likely to go out of business now. However, let's get started into what has likely triggered what is going to be a rant for me, assuming my voice holds out. We've gone from cedar season to hay fever season, and this year both of them hate me equally. Normally I do better with one and not the other. However, this is not the year for that. So, yeah. Whoops, that was not what I was trying to do. Is it? Oh, is that the one I shared? Yeah, I guess it is. That was not what I meant to do, but we'll get it opened up on here anyway. All right, so this just came out. This just happened. Trump is in the middle of a delayed press conference at the G7 because Macron likes to talk almost as much as he does. But so, yeah, here we go. This I don't understand, and I'm going to explain why in a second. I guess I didn't have it on that one, so let's fix that because I had it on another one, but now I have the same thing open anyway. Okay, so sorry for those of you that are watching on screen because you were just like, what did you just do? Yeah, sorry. But, all right, so this isn't a very long clip, so I'm hoping that at some point during the show I might be able to find an explainer, maybe some things around it, but this language is concerning to me. So let me get this fixed.
So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. Somebody said you should.
Do they though? Do they really? We're talking about giving or helping a terrorist nation state get conventional ballistic missiles. How hard is it to take a conventional ballistic missile and turn it into a non-conventional ballistic missile, especially since the only thing Iran's really going to care about is, hey, we can use this very long-range missile and, attach a dirty bomb suitcase to it and see what happens, just for funsies. Like I said, I can look at a lot of everything that's been happening lately and kind of look at it through the lens of logic and say, I know he said unconditional surrender was the only option, but I also know there are financial mechanisms in place that have stopped that from being a reality ever since the end of World War II. And I know that rationally, and I have to put the emotion aside because I have been saying this for forever. I understand the world was a different place in 1981 and we were afraid to go in and do what needed to be done in 1981 because Russia was a much more powerful foe back then, and we were afraid of possible nuclear war if we went in and deposed the newly seated regime in Iran. However, that still would have been preferable to the last 47 years worth of crap, especially when Donald Trump finally said, no, this is what we're going to do. Now, the one part that everybody stopped paying attention to is his one through red line that never moved is they can't have a nuclear weapon, they can't have a nuclear weapon, they can't have a nuclear weapon, they can't have a nuclear weapon. Now that he has felt like he has accomplished that, everything else becomes secondary, including apparently the safety of the entire region, because
can give them one. I mean, I have guys, I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart. Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir.
Is Saudi Arabia a terrorist state? So this is, again, me trying to look at everything from a logical perspective. Is Saudi Arabia a terrorist state? If the answer is no, then you go back to the whole checksum thing. If not a terrorist, maybe it's okay to have missiles. If terrorist, not okay to have missiles. Why is that hard? I don't Again, you guys that have been listening to me for a while, you know my journey when it comes to Trump. In 2016, I couldn't pull the lever for him. I was so terrified by some of the things that he said that I helped make sure the Libertarian Party got it on the ballot in Oklahoma until I figured out they were basically just Democrat light with even weirder meetings. I have to tell you, this, and once I'm done talking over it, I'm going to play the whole damn thing again, but this puts me back into the mindset I was in 2016. I cannot understand this. I cannot support this. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater and won't try to support him on everything else. And I'm hoping somebody behind the scenes can twist his ear a little bit and be like, are you fucking retarded? And I apologize in advance for the language today. I run a disclaimer for a reason, and today is not going to be one of those days where the things that I shouldn't say if I was on the radio anymore don't come out of my mouth. Because I'm not on the radio anymore, and I don't care to be on the radio anymore because I'm tired of all the rules and tired of all the bullshit. So I do what I do. This is me, and this is me raw and unfiltered with a live reaction to something that I have just seen that has made me go, what the fuck? And here's the end of it before I play it all again.
It doesn't work that way, you know? It doesn't work that way. And missiles aren't the problem. Missiles they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet.
They can if you attach a suitcase nuke to it. Maybe they only blow up a location, but can you imagine? I mean, we're not talking little missiles. We're not. What the hell? Anyway, so I'm going to try to let this whole thing play through again so you guys can actually hear it without me screaming.
So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. Somebody said, you shouldn't give them one. I mean, I have guys, I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart. Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir. It doesn't work that way, you know?
Yes, it does when they are still an active terrorist regime. I know.
They hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet. So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some.
No, they don't. And I know I keep talking about this, but they don't have.
I like some of these guys.
They're an active terrorist regime.
But I don't think they're smart.
At this point, you don't seem very smart.
Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir. doesn't work that way.
Saudi Arabia hasn't really been
doesn't work
terrorist
that way. And
adjacent
missiles
since
aren't the
9/11,
problem.
though. We
Missiles
kind
are-
of made them
They hurt a little
calm their
location,
shit.
but they don't blow up the planet. So we'll be working
okay,
on
so
a
I'm going to
parallel
stop this.
effort
I've been
with
letting
the
it run
Gulf
a loop for
nations
a
to
minute,
address.
but I can't keep my own promise and let it play without me talking over it anyway. But I did this. This is a line for me. This isn't a throw the baby out with the bathwater line, but we're getting fucking close. You just said, Mr. President, that a terrorist regime should be allowed to have ballistic missiles because their neighbors have them. Guess what? That invalidates your entire argument as to why they can't have nuclear weapons, you son of a bitch. I don't even know what. I swear to God. This may be my highest rated show ever, but it also may be the one I stroke out on. I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. Like I said, I had an entire show prepped out to try to logically explain what is happening with this deal. And before we get any further, I need to say this. I had planned on doing an in-depth dive on the Memorandum of Understanding that was supposed to be originally out sometime today on the 2-hour edition of America Off the Rails. Since that hasn't happened yet, we're going to go back to plan A, and I'm going to do a 2-hour Bible study instead. And then I am taking Sunday off because it's Father's Day. And at this point, I may be about to shelve most of my political shit. Sorry. Anyway. So Donald Trump in a press conference at the G7 just said, hey, Iran should be allowed to have ballistic missiles. Really? Really? By whose logic? By what logic? Are you using any logic? Is Qatar in the building with you right now? Do they have something hanging over your head? Because I really don't understand what the hell is going on right now. No, you came in late, so you and I keep talking over it. So that clip basically says that they are going to be discussing allowing Iran to have ballistic missiles, since Saudi Arabia and some of the neighbors already have them. So, yeah. I don't know I don't even know what to say right now, because I have been one of the people fighting really hard to try to help everybody understand how and when we went from unconditional surrender to, well, you see what happened was, and I could logically look at it, and we'll go over those parts of the show notes here in just a second because it still fits. But I don't understand why, even if this is something that he was thinking in here, it should have stayed in there. It never should have come out here, especially not at a live press conference. If you can, and I'll see if I can find the longer clip of it when we go to break in a minute, because we're definitely going to have to do that here in a minute, because I got to get some cough drops because I've already been screaming. But anyway, so yeah, Donald Trump, in his own words, we have to let Iran have ballistic missiles because their neighbors have them. And for all the people that say that's not a good idea, sir, they're stupid. His words, not mine. So again, you want to give a terrorist regime access to a ballistic missile. And I agree with Andrew. If we're going to let them have ballistic missiles, we should just have all of our little B-52s come deliver them to them. I don't know what happened. There's something that has happened with the calculus behind the scenes in this whole Iran thing that I no longer understand. Because I can't look at this from a logical perspective. I can look at everything else, and when we come back from the break, I'm going to be skipping around a bit. Because, like I said, I had an entire show prepped. You can see it from the title, and the new show title is basically, I had a show prepped, and the news cycle left and hold my beer. But it's Chat Lives Matter Day. But that's just it. He's not... With everything that he's already done, he has undone most of the damage here. He didn't have to come out and say, well, now we're going to give them ballistic missiles. Because if you notice, right around the same time he said that, the oil futures went from red meaning down to green meaning up, which is the opposite, in my opinion, of what that should actually mean. Because now the rest of the world's going, wait, we're going to let these crazy son of a bitches have ballistic missiles? Really? We're not even going to try to stop that now because their neighbors have them? Well, guess what? That invalidates the entire you can't have a nuclear weapon thing because and the funny thing is, and this is when I knew things were about to go sideways because I went in because today is a don't show this to my doctor. Today is a two-fister kind of day. I have one of these and I have this because that's the day this is shaping up to be. And it's going to stay that way now, apparently. So I went into my room, to my little, where I had all my drinks refrigerator, grabbed one of those, and the TV was still running because I forgot to turn it off before I came into my studio/office. And I was hearing him say, well, we don't really know about the civilian use of nuclear power either, except I keep telling them you're like the number 3 largest oil reserve. What do you need nuclear power for? To which my logical response to the clip that we just saw is they are still a terrorist regime. They are the largest funder of terrorist tendrils in the world. They still have active militias operating with their terrorist mandates. So maybe they don't need ballistic missiles yet. Now, I kind of feel, I'm hoping that Trump did what he always does and he left the rest of the sentence off because I feel like that was a sentence that deserves a comma and a bit of a pause before he went in to explain the rest of it. And the she slid off the cracker, which happens a lot. Not Joe Biden style, but while he is very energetic and stays up a lot, as somebody who has that same problem, I understand that after I have been up for 19, 20, 21 hours, I start to have the attention span of a squirrel. So I feel like there was a comma that was left off and an entire, or maybe even a semicolon, and an entire other sentence that should have said, when they decide to start acting like a real country again, not a bunch of goat fucking terrorists. And well, that's just it, BZ. The polls don't even support the midterm loss anymore, or they didn't until now. I actually had poll numbers showing that usually when there's a wave, it shows Democrats are +6, +7. And let's not forget, they usually have to oversample a bit to even get there. But right now, they're at +1, +2. And depending on which polls you're looking at, maybe +3 on generic ballot. So that's just it. The midterm stuff might not have gone the way we thought it was going to go historically because the Democrats have become such an unpalatable choice for everybody below the age of 30. The problem now is everyone, even on Trump's side, is going, I don't know what to do with this. How do I know? Because you're watching me have that existential crisis right now, live on the air, because I don't know where to go with this. I don't know where we go from here. Again, I can understand why we went from we're going to knock their dick in the dirt to, hey, we've done about everything we can do. And when we come back from break, again, I'm going to be skipping around a bit. Like I said, I had an entire show planned out. I still have notes, and I'm going to use some of those notes because the explainers are still here. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick break so I can step away and maybe grab some cough drops and get some of my notes back on track. And because of that, we may actually take a longer than usual break. But also, if we do happen to run long, it's not like it matters because there's nothing on behind me anyway. So, yeah, we're going to take a break. My name's Rick Robinson. This one will be a longer than average break so I can make it to my room and back because the two locations are on the opposite ends of my house. Bad planning on my part. But not as bad as Trump's planning before this press conference. Holy shit. All right. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Or don't. But if you stay put, you might want to go find your duct tape because I have a feeling we're all going to need it today to keep from getting explodey heads.
They tried to quench the fire, drown it all in chains, tried to break our will and wash away our names. But every spark they buried only fed the flame. Now the cry of freedom's roaring through the rain. Hear the cry of freedom on the winds of change. Every voice united, breaking every chain. We were born to stand and never bow again. Let the fire of liberty forever reign. Forever reign. Now the walls are shaking from the battle cry. Truth is rising to the sky. Every soul that ever felt the weight of chains feels the fire of freedom in their veins. No more chains, no more lies. Hear the thunder as we rise. Freedom's call won't be denied. Now the fire burns worldwide. Hear the cry of freedom on the winds of change. Every voice united, breaking every chain. We were born to stand and never bow again. Let the fire of liberty forever reign. Let the fire of liberty forever reign. When the call comes in, somebody answers. Day or night, they're already moving. Calm voices, fast hands, doing the work while the rest of the world freezes. From a headset to a truck, from a badge to a door, they don't stop to count the cost. They step in when it matters. It's not about being seen, it's about being there. They're holding the line when the lions go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Before the sirens fade, before the scene is clear, someone's already making sense of the moment. Keeping people alive, keeping things from getting worse. Some run toward danger, some stay behind and hold it together. Different roles, same weight, same on the line. They're already there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead. Standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. This is service, this is sacrifice, this is how lives are saved. No spotlight, no applause, just showing up again and again. They're holding the line when the world goes dark. When everything's breaking, they hold their ground. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line. So we raise our voices for the ones who stand. Every voice, every badge, every helping hand. They don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Always standing in the gap for us all. For those who run and for those who hold steady. For those who stand in the gap.
And welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. And I think I'm living up to my, what used to be a call sign, now became part of my nickname. I think I'm living up to the Rowdy moniker today because I'm pissed. And it's kind of bleeding through. So for anybody who's offended, I'm sorry for nothing. Because, reasons. All right, so we're going to get into where this show started today before the updated news cycles that hold my beer. Because when I first started getting caught up today and started putting show notes together, I heard Trump say the quiet part out loud. And that was, well, I had to do something or we were looking at economic depression worldwide. Not an exact quote, but pretty close. And that kind of unlocked the entire story that I had regarding Iran until now. And as BZ can attest, I've actually said all of these things on his show and others that I have broached the topic on. And again, he said I had to do something or we're facing worldwide depression. That's the through line here, because that is not Trump talking like a battlefield commander. That's not somebody who says, hey, we're not going to accept anything other than complete and total surrender. Because the problem with that is when you're dealing with people who don't view things the same way you do, and we keep running into that in this country a lot, which is another reason why I'm looking at Donald Trump going, they should be allowed to have ballistic missiles because their neighbors have them. These are not the same people as your neighbors. Now, again, I kind of got distracted, so I'm going to finish something before I get into this. I kept saying I felt like there was a semicolon that needed to be there, and I felt like he kept wanting, he should have maybe elaborated a bit more and be like, hey, if we can get rid of the crazy folks that are running the country, then we can talk about missiles. Maybe. And I kind of feel like, because the more I listen to the clip, I was like, I feel like there's more he wants to say here and he's not saying it. But again, I'm not making excuses because I'm not in his head. And if his head's anything like mine, it's a scary fucking place, and I don't even like being in my own, so I definitely don't want to be in his. But here's the problem. So this is not Trump talking like a guy at a rally, getting applause lines. That is Trump talking like the president of the country that underwrites the global economic system. And that's the truth of it, folks. Ever since World War II, we have, I've said this all the time, after World War II, we took it upon ourselves to become Atlas. We rebuilt the world and reshaped it in our image after the ruins of World War II. And we made it, whether we liked it or not, our responsibility to steward it. And that is kind of where we keep running into, because that's where the conversation has to get bigger than just Iran, because there are a lot of folks on my side, even before this, Iran needs to get ballistic missiles that still think about war in old movie terms. One side wins, one side loses, the bad guys surrender, the credits roll. But that's not how wars have worked ever since the end of World War II. And that's not how American power has operated again since then. America has not just been fighting enemies. America has been maintaining an operating system, and that operating system includes the dollar, oil, shipping lanes, alliances, debt markets, energy prices, insurance markets, global trade, inflation expectations, central banks, and the basic assumption that the United States will prevent regional fires from becoming global economic infernos until Trump decided today that Iran should have ballistic missiles because other people around them do. So again, this is why I can't look at this part logically, because I understand how we went from Donald Trump, who never should have uttered the phrase, "we will accept nothing else other than complete and total surrender," to, well, this is what had happened. Because now we've gone from this is what had happened to what the actual fuck over, because I don't get this part. And I know I keep coming back to it, but it's I can't. I should have went and found my duct tape on the break. One of these days, I'm actually gonna have a hat that has duct tape on it already, so I can just be like, "Here, I'm ready now." Because yeah. But anyway, so look, here's the problem. Because I got it until maybe about an hour ago. At this point, I understood some of what Donald Trump was doing, because we can't just knock somebody's dick in the dirt anymore. Because if we do, then the rest of the world is going to feel the economic ripples. Now, at this point, knowing what I know now, I wish we would have just left it the fuck alone. Because all things being equal, everything was better before now. And that's why I'm having such a hard time with what just came out today. And I'm about to have my virtual assistant see if it can find a longer version of the clip to see if maybe this was one of those please, by God, let this be one of those creative editing things, please, because anyway. So yeah. But here's the thing. Again, we did this. Not we, because most of us weren't alive, but our predecessors decided we were going to be the ones to reshape the world. And that's the job of the president right now, and has been ever since World War II, is to not only assert our power when needed, but also have to fight with not necessarily one hand tied behind our back, but one finger on the trigger and the other hand holding up the economic scales. And that's what's happened here. So when people say, why didn't Trump just finish it? As much as, that makes me think of, Mortal Kombat. Finish him. Yeah, I understand the question, but the honest answer is because finish it can mean 5 different things. Finish the Iranian nuclear program, finish the regime, finish the war, finish the threat to Israel, finish the threat to Hormuz, finish the market panic. Those are not the same objective, and sometimes, actually I would say most of the time, they're in active conflict with one another. You can hit Iran hard enough to damage its military and nuclear infrastructure, but if the result is Hormuz shut down, oil markets panicking, shipping costs exploding, and allies scrambling, then the president has to ask, am I winning the war while breaking the system that our country helped build? And that's the question Trump was pointing toward with the worldwide depression line. And that is why this part of the show mattered until 45 minutes ago, because the administration may deserve heat for the rhetoric. It may deserve heat for saying things in a way that created expectations it could not or would not deliver, but it is also taking heat for a global system that the current administration did not build. So we're going to get into the mechanics of this stuff in a second, because again, this part of the show was planned out before my head almost exploded, but I still feel like this part is worth talking about because there's so many people on my side even that don't understand this. So after World War II, America didn't just win a war. America built the operating system for much of the world, including especially in Western civilization. That phrase matters, the operating system, because most people see, that makes sense to people today. They see apps, they see all the different things that they can do that usually require an operating system. And because there is this underlying current of everything that we have put together to interconnect everybody, they also see things like gas prices, grocery prices, interest rates, wars that can affect those things: trade, shipping, stock markets, sanctions, aid packages, alliances. But underneath all of that is the operating system. And after World War II, America was the country with the industrial base, the military power, the gold, the productive capacity, and the political confidence to build that system. The old world had blown itself apart twice in 30 years. World War I, depression, currency chaos, protectionism, World War II. So the goal after 1945 was not just defeat Germany and Japan. The goal was, how do we build a world where this does not keep happening? Because again, these two wars were only a few decades apart. That is where Bretton Woods comes in. In 1944, before the war was even over, representatives from allied nations met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. They were trying to design a financial system that would prevent the currency wars, trade breakdowns, and beggar thy neighbor policies that helped make the 1930s so unstable. Out of that came the IMF, otherwise known as the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank. Original Bretton Woods system tied currencies to the dollar, and the dollar was tied to gold, which I wish it still was. Now, the original gold convertibility piece ended under Nixon, again, a fucking Republican, in 1971. But the deeper fact did not go away. The dollar remained the center of the global system. The dollar became the reserve currency, the settlement currency, the trade currency, the debt currency, the commodity currency, the confidence currency. When countries trade, they often used to use, they're starting to move away from it, the dollar. When oil is priced, it is priced in dollars. When central banks hold reserves, they hold dollars. Not as much as they used to, and after today, who knows? When markets panic, people run to dollars. That gives America enormous power, but it also gives America enormous responsibility. Hi, Uncle Ben. How are you? Spider-Man reference for those of you who didn't get it. But if the dollar is the center of the system, then American decisions do not stay inside America. Our wars do not stay inside of America. Our inflation doesn't even stay inside of our American borders anymore. Our sanctions do not stay in place or stay within our borders anymore. Neither does our debt. Our interest rates can impact the rest of the world. Our presidential decisions can do the same, which is why I'm a little shaky on this one that says, hey, Iran should have a ballistic missile if they want one, and I can't really stop it even if I wanted to, which I don't. That's one piece of the machinery. The second piece is sea power. The world economy runs on ships, not vibes, not speeches, ships. Specifically, oil tankers, container ships, grain ships, LNG carriers, military supply ships, chemical carriers, semiconductor supply chains, fertilizer, food, machinery and medicine. All of it moves through oceans and choke points. And after World War II, the United States Navy became the muscle behind open sea lanes. That does not mean every ship is American. It means the world economy depends on the assumption that the seas stay open, trade keeps moving, and hostile powers do not get to choke the global economy whenever they want. Which again, with Iran still making noise about the Strait of Hormuz, was this the best time to say, hey, maybe we should just let them have a nuclear missile? Or, I'm sorry, ballistic missile? I'm just saying. So, and again, this is why places like the Strait of Hormuz matter. Hormuz is not just a narrow waterway on a map. It is an artery. A huge share of the world's oil moves through or is affected by that region. And when Iran threatens the Strait of Hormuz, mines it, blocks it, or blockades it, or makes insurers and shippers afraid of the Strait of Hormuz and their ability to use it and traverse it safely, it is not just threatening its neighbors, it is threatening the global price of energy. So let's give them ballistic missiles. So energy is not just one sector of the economy. Energy is in everything. The price of food includes the cost of the energy to transport the food. The price of shipping includes that same energy. The price of manufacturing also includes energy. The price of fertilizer includes energy. The price of airline tickets includes the energy prices that, allow the planes to move, those kind of things. The price of getting your Amazon package Don't even get me started on Amazon right now. I'll go on a 30-minute rant about Stargate. Includes energy, the price of running a hospital, a farm, a school, a factory, a trucking company, a grocery store. All of it includes the basic prices and use of energy. So when Trump says we were facing worldwide depression, he's talking about the chain reaction. If the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, oil continues to spike. If oil spikes, shipping costs rise. And we've seen that with the cost of diesel, which again, this is where I'm also still a little pissed off with my side, right? Because I don't get this. So diesel is a byproduct. When we create gasoline, diesel was a byproduct. So how is it and when is it and why can't we undo the fact that for some reason that byproduct is now more expensive than actual gasoline? So that makes no sense to me. None. And don't give me the supply and demand crap either. Especially when we have a president and an administration that keeps talking about how energy dependent we are. I don't want to hear that shit. Or how energy independent we are. I don't want to hear that shit anymore. Don't tell me it's because, well, diesel is the lifeblood of our shipping economy. I don't care anymore. It never used to be that way. It's always been the lifeblood of our shipping economy for the most part. And it used to be $1 to $1.50 cheaper most of the time when the gas prices started going nuts than regular gasoline. It was on par with regular gasoline back in the day. And then when the leftists got a hold of all the pricing mechanisms and said, well, since this is a scarce product, we should make it more expensive so less people feel the need to use it. And then start trying to give them alternatives. And then use 60-year-old technology to, even back then, well, I guess back then it would have been 20, 30-year-old technology. To try to give them a supposed alternative. Instead of using actual modern, technology. I mean, if you really were worried about people overusing gasoline, maybe we shouldn't have killed the guy that invented a carburetor that got 75 miles to the gallon and put it on a shelf somewhere. You think that might not have been good for the times, but the oil companies couldn't have that. This is why I'm always, much like the United States, I'm usually doing this with the things that I talk about because there has to be a balance. And I feel like lately a lot of things have been out of balance because it seems like the bigger companies, the bigger corporations, the ones that can afford all the lobbyists, get all the shit that they want. And we're left holding the bag going, how did this happen? And who can we send to Washington to fix it? And then somebody says, pick me, I'll fix it. And then they don't fix it. And then for the longest time, after he got elected, I kept looking at Donald Trump going, hey, he has done almost everything he said he was going to do. And then today happened. And I'm like, WTF, over. But again, that's one of the reasons this whole philosophy that we've had to interconnect the world's economies using us as the go-between. And that was what happened with Nixon. Somebody in Nixon's administration decided we were going to be the world's money changers, which I find ironic since we're supposed to be a Christian nation and we all saw what Jesus did to the money changers in the temple. Irony is everywhere. All right, so I'm going to take the break a little early because I still need to let my little virtual assistant chew on this thing that I found and see if we can find longer formatted versions of the clip to see if I can maybe make my head stop exploding, because that one's only 45 seconds. I really feel like I'm really hoping there has to be more there. Also, apparently, the full memorandum of understanding has been disclosed to certain Fox News personnel. Still not hearing much about that. I did see Mike Pence on the panel a minute ago talking about how terrible it was. He did give Trump some props first, but then he said, if this thing is what it looks like it is, it may actually be even worse than what Obama did. Which again puts me back to where I was a moment ago. Maybe we should have just left things alone for a while. And again, this is my problem because look, up until right before showtime, when this news story broke, I was even trying to make the argument that, this is normally because we have officially pretty much broken the back of their military for the most part. They have no clear command and control anymore. Everybody's operating on their last known orders, which is kill all the infidels. Because that's pretty much their always and forever last known order. So I was even like, this is normally when, if we were still a functional country, this would be when we would send our clandestine services agencies in to start getting people within the Iranian populace to start working on regime change. But we can't even do that anymore because we have too many mid-level bureaucrats that are doing everything they can to not follow the administration's directives. And they have been ordered to do so. And a lot of them are still in place. Every time we try to clean out a bunch of them, we find more. So we can't even trust the CIA to go in and say, hey, maybe we can start finding some, sneaky ways to get some arms to these people so they can do some of the fighting. There's another reason why I have been, while I understand why Trump has done what he's been doing, what I don't understand is why we didn't lean more heavily on Israel in the beginnings of this thing and be like, hey, this is what we could do. Where you get your folks to our ships and then our MEUs will go drop you off and you guys go boots on the ground and you help them because it's your neck of the woods, not ours. And a free Iran is good for everybody. I feel like there were lanes that we didn't use. As much as I have been trying to justify some of the things that I have seen and heard, I still feel like there are lanes that we haven't used. Anyway, my name is Rick Robinson. This is my show. It is a bit of a clusterfuck kind of show because I had an entire show prepped because it's Chat Lives Matter Day, and we always try to make a big deal on those days because this is the day that Chat Lives Matter, and to me, they matter every day. I know, I'm sucking up a bit. Also, happy birthday to Sam, a.k.a. Politibunny, the person who inspired the Chat Lives Matter hashtag because she used to be mean to chat on purpose. And we decided to do a counterpoint. And this was her regularly scheduled program night. But it's also her birthday. So if you have an opportunity, especially here in a second when we're on break, make sure you go give her crap for getting older. Because it's her birthday. But I can't really say anything because technically I'm like about 3 weeks older than her. But she caught me again, so now I can officially say she's old again. Be right back, everybody.
From red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice. I've seen the fire in our nation's eyes when anger prowls for prey. I've heard good people draw their lines and call it holy rage. But the cross was never raised to bless the stones we throw. And if mercy leaves the house, there's something wrong down in the soul. Words ain't bullets, but they can hit the same. And once a heart turns cold enough, it forgets what grace is for. There's no room for hate in America tonight. No room in the home where the children need the light. No room in the heart where the Savior's supposed to stay. If Jesus owns the house, then hatred don't got no place. No room
for hate.
Oh, no room for hate.
No room for hate.
You can wave a flag above it. You can quote a verse or two. You can dress it up like justice. Till it almost sounds like truth. But outrage ain't righteous when it changes with the side. And you can't love your neighbor, treating them like they're downrange. We're all image bearers, breath of God and dust. And you don't heal a broken land by teaching it not to trust. There's no room for hate. Oh, in America tonight, no room in the home. Oh, where the children need the light, no room in the heart. Oh, where the Savior's supposed to stay. If Jesus owns the house, then hatred don't got no place.
No room for hate.
No room for hate.
No room for hate.
Drag it to the cross, lay it in the ground. Let the blood of Jesus turn the whole thing around. Truth can still be spoken, courage still can't stand, but rage don't get to rule the soul of a faithful man. There's no room for hate in America tonight. No room in the home where the children need the light. No room in the heart, oh, where the Savior's supposed to stay. If Jesus owns the house, then hatred don't got no place.
Let revival start.
Oh,
Where the anger breaks.
where the anger breaks.
Let healing rise up.
Oh,
Where the hurt gives way.
no room for hate.
No room for hate.
No, no room for hate.
No room for hate.
Not in Jesus' name. Oh, not in this house. Not in this heart. Not in his name. No room for hate.
Remember when entertainment was actually entertaining? When comedy was about being funny, movies were about telling great stories, and you didn't need a political lecture every time you hit play. Great entertainment still exists, it's just getting harder to find. Even the biggest streaming platforms leave audiences disappointed. That's why there's Studio TST, pure entertainment, real comedy, independent films, bold creators, movies, comedy, music, and more, and the home of fearless sketch comedy. That show tonight, entertainment the way you want it. Funny, creative, unapologetic, and agenda-free. Studio TST, the future of entertainment starts here. Join Studio TST today for just $5 a month.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
An all-new
I'm still here and I'm leaving it on this time so I don't forget.
actual nightmare.
Oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez.
Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
From red dirt roads to the Capitol steps, Rick's calling truth, no time for regrets. Fire in his voice, facts in his hand.
I hate it when a plan falls apart. So for those of you that may be just joining us, I had an entire show prep today, and then the news cycle said, hold my beer. And now it says, have another, or hold this one for me. Because the other story we've been waiting to drop kind of dropped while I was looking into the other stuff. So anyway, welcome back into the program. It's hour 2. Hour 1 is in the books. I haven't stroked out yet. You can tell it's a stressful day if I'm doing this. I usually reserve this stuff for like nighttime shows. Anyway, so as the great Rushbo used to say, from my nicotine stained fingers. Anyway, miss that dude. I would be really interested to hear what he was saying today, but I can't imagine it would be too much different than what I've been saying, because every time I've ever done terrestrial work, everybody I've ever worked with has been like, you kind of remind me of somebody, which I always kind of took as a compliment. Anyway, all right. So before we get back into the other stuff, because I have my little trusty digital assistant seeing if it can find a full transcript of the clip that I've pulled. However, there has been another edition of News Cycle said, hold my fucking beer. So we now have a detailed summary of the 14-point agreement as quoted from a senior official, and this is as quoted as closely as possible, put out by Town Hall through Cameron Arkand just a few minutes ago. So, point 1, the United States of America and Islamic Republic of Iran. Don't like the fact that Islamic is still in there, just saying. And their allies in the current war So the United States of America and Islamic Republic of Iran and their allies in the current war, by signing this MOU, declare the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon. So that was in there. They kept telling us it wasn't. And undertake from now on not to initiate any war or military operations against each other, and to refrain from the threat or use of force against each other, and ensuring the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Lebanon. The final deal will confirm the permanent termination of the war on all fronts, including in Lebanon, and other provisions of this paragraph. However, we don't have the jurisdiction or the right to say that, because if Donald Trump can plainly look us in the face today and say, well, Iran should have ballistic missiles because everybody else does and I can't really stop them anyway, then stop trying to tell Israel what to do. So, point 2, the United States of America, the Islamic Republic of Iran, undertake to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Minolaiki. And refrain from interfering in each other's internal affairs. So we are, in fact, leaving a terrorist regime in place. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran commits to negotiating and achieving the final deal in maximum of 60 days, extendable with mutual consent. In other words, it could be 60 days, but we're going to probably have to extend this out for 20 years or so. Immediately, stay with me here. Immediately upon the signing of this MOU, the United States of America will begin the removal of its naval blockade and any disturbances or impediments against the Islamic Republic of Iran, and will fully end the naval blockade within 30 days. During this period, the traffic of vessels will be in proportion to the number of pre-war traffic being restored by the Islamic Republic of Iran. The United States of America further undertakes to remove its forces from the proximity of the Islamic Republic of Iran within 30 days after the final deal. Upon signing this MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts for the safe passage of commercial vehicles with no change for 60 days only from the Persian Gulf to the Sea of Oman and vice versa. The traffic of commercial vehicles will immediately start in considering the needs for removing the technical and military obstacles, and demining by the Islamic Republic of Iran will be initiated within 30 days. The Islamic Republic of Iran will conduct dialogue with Sultaness of Oman to define the future administration and maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz, discussion with other Persian Gulf states in line with the applicable international law and the sovereign rights of coastal states of the Straits of Hormuz. Point 6, the United States of America undertakes with regional partners to develop a definitive, mutually agreed plan with at least U.S. dollars, the amount of $300 billion for the reconstruction and economic development of, again, the Islamic Republic of Iran. The mechanism for the implementation of this plan will be finalized as part of a final deal within 60 days. All required licenses, waivers, and permissions needed for the relevant financial transactions will be granted by the United States of America. Point 7, the United States of America undertakes to terminate all types of sanctions against the Islamic Republic of Iran, including the United Nations Security Council resolution, i.e., IAEA Board of Governors resolution, and all unilateral U.S. sanctions, primary and secondary, and agreed upon schedule as part of the final deal. I'm gonna start a comic book podcast or something, I think. Point 8, the Islamic Republic of Iran reaffirms that it shall not procure or develop nuclear weapons. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran have agreed to resolve the disposition of stockpile enriched material pursuant to a mechanism that will be mutually agreed upon in accordance with the schedule mentioned in paragraph 7, with a minimum methodology to be downblended on site under the supervision of the IAEA. The two parties also agreed to discuss the issue of enrichment and other mutually agreed matters related to the economical public of Iran's nuclear need, based on the satisfactory framework being agreed upon in the final deal. The final deal will confirm the provisions of this paragraph. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran acknowledge the critical importance of nuclear issues above mission and express their intention to immediately address their issues in the negotiation in order to achieve mutual agreement on them. Which also flies in the face of something Donald Trump just said in his press conference. Pending the final deal, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran agrees to maintain the status quo. The Islamic Republic of Iran will maintain the current status quo of its nuclear program, and the United States... Wait, hang on. So, pending the final deal, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran agree to maintain the status quo. The Islamic Republic of Iran will maintain the current status quo of its nuclear program, and the United States of America will not impose any new sanctions and will not deploy additional forces into the region. So, I'm confused. And for anybody listening to me right now, you're probably just as confused, because a couple of points way back up there, they said Iran's never going to have a nuclear weapon, but they're going to be allowed to maintain the status quo of their nuclear program. So what now? Now, I guess that's only pending the final deal, so hopefully there'll be some new language in the final deal if we ever actually reach one. Here's my other problem, because again, reacting logically, not emotionally. When is the last time Iran actually lived up to its end of any deal? Ever since 1979? Point 10. The United States of America undertakes, but immediately upon the signing of this MOU and until the termination of sanctions, the U.S. Department of Treasury will issue waivers for the export of Iranian crude oil, petroleum products, and derivatives, and all associated services, including banking transactions, insurances, transportation, etc. So we're going to give Iran $3 billion a day in oil revenue. What you're telling me. It kind of sounds like that's what you're telling me. So this is when I have to remind everybody that money is fungible, and since this is still the Islamic Republic of Iran, that means that once they're able to start selling their oil again, they're going to be able to take that money and use it for whatever the hell they want to use it for. And as we all know, Iran, the government of Iran does not give a shit about its citizenry. I'm going to say this again. This has been a tactical blunder now for a while, and even I have been trying to see where it went before I made up my mind. But Donald Trump is looking at this as if he's doing what every other president before him has done. He's westernizing the Middle East from their according to their thought processes. We're doing with them the same thing. And before anybody yells at me or before YouTube tries to pull the video down, I'm not necessarily trying to say that they're animals, but we are doing with these people what we do with our pets. We're giving them characteristics by our interpretation of the things that they do that don't actually fit. Sorry, I was trying not to sneeze. There it is. But yeah, so seriously, we're anthropomorphizing them, not in the way that we do with pets, but kind of the same thing, because we keep saying, well, deep down in here, they're just like us. No, the hell they're not. Here's the problem that Donald Trump ran into. The idea of fighting with one finger on the trigger and another on the scales of economic balance works when you have a sane enemy, because when you can come in and within 2 or 3 days demolish 80% of their military, completely demolish their command and control structure, sink 85% of their navy, your rational enemy's looking at you going, oh shit, what did we do? We should probably calm these people down. Except Islamists aren't rational. Everybody seems to forget these people to do the grand thing that they want to be able to do. So the difference between the religion of Islam and the religion of in my opinion, the faith of Christianity, because those aren't the same things, is this. Everything that we have needed to do to set apart and bring about the part of Revelations has already basically been done. And it wasn't even done by us. It was done by Jesus. So he's going to come back someday and say, hey, we're here. It's our turn. We're going to rule over the world for a while and blah, blah, blah. And for everybody who's read the book of Revelations, you know what happens after that. However, these folks, to bring about their version of the book of Revelations, they need the world to be bathed in blood. So here's the problem. when you try to westernize Middle Eastern cultures and you try to treat them as if they're just like me and you. Because the Persians, maybe, because they're the less militant sect of Islamists, if they even are Islamists to begin with. But these guys, yeah, they're the ones who, if they're still breathing, they're winning. If there is one of them left who is still drawing breath, they have won. So the problem that we have, and we're seeing this play out all over the place now, is we have interconnected things so badly to the point where we cannot eradicate these people or the rest of the world collapses. And if the rest of the world collapses, guess what? They get what they want anyway. The world falling apart, the world bathed in blood, and they believe this will trigger the return of the Prophet of Muhammad. Or whatever the hell there says. So yeah, I'm having a real hard time with this today because I keep trying to say, and I've been telling everybody this even in private groups, I'm not going to say anything until I see the memorandum. But from everything I'm seeing from this memorandum, Trump bent us over the table, which is not a sentence I ever thought I would say. So, point 11. The United States of America undertakes to make fully available for use the frozen or, oh my God, restricted funds and assets of the Islamic Republic of Iran upon the implementation of the MOU. Not a signed final agreement, but upon the implementation of the MOU. Now, again, this is something that J.D. Vance made a lot of press junkets about over the last few days that told us what we thought was in there wasn't actually in there. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran will usually agree on the procedures related to the relief of these funds during the negotiations. Such funds, whether retained in the original accounts or transferred, government may be fully usable for payment to any ultimate beneficiary designated by the Central Bank of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Needless to say, hey, terrorism's back on the table, boys. The United States of America undertakes to issue all necessary licenses and authorizations accordingly. The United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran agree to an executive mechanism that will be established to monitor the successful implementation of the MOU and the future compliance of the final deal. That's point 12. Point 13, after signing the MOU, and subject to the beginning of the implementation of paragraphs 1, 4, 5, 10, and 11 of this MOU, and the continuing implementation of these measures, the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran will start negotiations regarding the final deal exclusively on the other paragraphs. Point 14, the final deal will be endorsed by a binding United Nations Security Council resolution. I got nothing. I don't know what, I don't know. I got nothing. I am just, yeah, I'm glad I made the executive decision to do a Bible study show tonight, because I probably couldn't have put together a political show for later tonight if my life depended on it. Because I got nothing. All right, we're taking the break early. Trying to give myself some time to think here, and I still need to find out if we were able to find. Not that it matters now, because the MOU's out, and it's as bad as everybody on the other side kept telling us it was, and I kept saying there's no way it could possibly be that bad. I never thought I'd have to say this out loud, but it appears I owe Jessica Tarlov an apology, and I kind of hate Trump for making me say that. Be interested to hear Greg spin this shit today on the 5. Oh my God. All right. We're going to take a break because I got nothing. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
They tried to quench the fire, drown it all in chains, tried to break our will and wash away our names. But every spark they buried only fed the flame. Now the cry of freedom's roaring through the rain. Hear the cry of freedom on the winds of change. Every voice united, breaking every chain. We were born to stand and never bow again. Let the fire of liberty forever reign. Forever reign. Now the walls are shaking from the battle cry. Truth is rising to the sky. Every soul that ever felt the weight of chains feels the fire of freedom in their veins. No more chains, no more lies. Hear the thunder as we rise. Freedom's call won't be denied. Now the fire burns worldwide. Hear the cry of freedom on the winds of change. Every voice united, breaking every chain. We were born to stand and never bow again. Let the fire of liberty forever reign. Let the fire of liberty forever reign. When the call comes in, somebody answers. Day or night, they're already moving. Calm voices, fast hands, doing the work while the rest of the world freezes. From a headset to a truck, from a badge to a door, they don't stop to count the cost. They step in when it matters. It's not about being seen, it's about being there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead, standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Before the sirens fade, before the scene is clear, someone's already making sense of the moment. Keeping people alive, keeping things from getting worse. Some run toward danger, some stay behind and hold it together. Different roles, same weight, same everything's on the line. They're already there. They're holding the line when the lines go dead. Standing their ground when the world goes dark. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line through the fire, the flood. When everything falls, they don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. This is service, this is sacrifice, this is how lives are saved. No spotlight, no applause, just showing up again and again. They're holding the line when the world goes dark. When everything's breaking, they hold their ground. They're the calm in the chaos, holding the line. So we raise our voices for the ones who stand. Every voice, every badge, every helping hand. They don't ask why, they just answer the call. Always standing in the gap for us all. Always standing in the gap for us all. For those who run and for those who hold steady. For those who stand in the gap.
And welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. The YouTube trolls are winning this one today, sadly, because one of them just asked, "Is this you with a dose of cope because of we're surrendering to Iran?" If everything I've seen today is accurate, then yes, I am trying to ingest massive amounts of copium. Although I am still leaning towards possibly starting to do a podcast about comic books or something, because why even bother? Look, I don't know. I don't know where Town Hall got their information from. I hope they're pulling their stuff from the same place CNN got theirs, because now apparently there's reports that are saying what's being reported is inaccurate. I don't know. I'm not even sure I care enough anymore, because either way, again, you cannot nor should you ever say, because like it or not, here's the thing. We keep talking about no new wars. Last I checked, the war on terrorism wasn't over yet, so it's not a new war. You know, everybody remember the war on terror thing? You know, a thing that after 9/11 we swore we would stamp it out to make sure that nobody ever had to deal with this kind of crap ever again anywhere. Remember that? Remember that? I remember that. I remember that. I remember a president standing on a mountain of rubble with a bullhorn saying, "I hear you. All of America hears you, and soon the rest of the world will hear you." I remember that. Where did that go? How did we go from that to, well, Iran should have a ballistic missile program because then it can defend itself? I have a problem with that, because again, I'm going to say this: ballistic missile and a suitcase nuke equals bad juju. They don't have to. These people are used to using low-end technology to meet their needs. If you give them something as sophisticated as a ballistic missile, there's no telling what they're going to be able to do with it. And the whole idea that, well, Iran should be able to defend itself, should it really? In its current state, should it really? They just murdered how many people? You know, in this country, we're having a fit because a couple of people tried to impede law enforcement and do dangerous shit and died over it. They're over there and killing tens of thousands of people at a time, and nobody's willing to even bat an eyelash for that. I remember when something similar happened in China and the entire world was up in arms back in the 90s. And then within a couple of years, we were doing business with them full time. And I feel like that's where we are with this now. I don't understand how we so let me rephrase. I understand how we went from unconditional surrender and nothing else under any circumstances to, well, this is what we had to do. I get that part, and I've explained that part before. We rebuilt the entire world after World War I and World War II because the world still hadn't fully recovered from World War I, and then World War II started. So we started working on alliances and fiscal structure and different banking systems and all these different centralized kind of things to basically create a spider web between all the world's economies to try to make sure that nobody as crazy as Hitler could ever just say, we're going to just bomb a country out of existence and go steal all their stuff ever again. And that's why we have fought to a stalemate ever since World War II. Every single time it's either been armistice or withdrawal or all these different things that have not lived up to anybody's expectations. And eventually the American people get tired of it. They vote in new leadership who say they're going to do things differently, and then they don't. They send in new Congress critters and new senators that say they're going to do things differently, and they don't. Then we vote for an outsider for president who, for the longest time, seemed like he was the only one trying to fix what was broken, and then did this today. And I don't know where to go from here. I really don't. Now, a lot of folks that do what I do, they would have just, went with their prepared show notes. They would have just done their show and been like, you know what, we'll come back to this later. I can't do that. I can't do that because at that point, I feel like I'm doing a disservice to you guys. If I just went ahead with my show notes and talked about everything that I was going to talk about and tried to pretend everything was fine and done the whole, this is being a professional thing, that's one of the reasons I don't do terrestrial radio anymore. It's not because I'm still not being asked to do it. It's not because I haven't been extended offers. It's because they would expect me to, well, just wait and see what actually happens. Don't do this yet. You're going to hurt our side of the argument if you're wrong. And I've had to do that before. I don't want to do that anymore. That's why everywhere I work is either something that I own or I'm freelance for. Because they can not approve a story if I submit it, but that doesn't mean I don't have the right to submit it. And trust me, there are folks that I have written articles for that have been like, yeah, we're not going to run this. That's fine. That's why I'm a freelancer. I'll put it out on my own banner. That's fine. But yeah, I had an entire show planned today, and then the news cycle blew it up. Because I get it. It's a 45-second clip. I'm still hoping, and I've been waiting for somebody to do it, that somebody would come out with a transcript to maybe explain what was on the other side of that 45-second clip, both in front of and or behind it, to see if I could make it logically make sense. But as it stands right now, I can't do that. I cannot logically understand how we went from this country will never have nuclear weapons to, oh, but a conventional ballistic missile. Yeah, that's cool beans. They can do that. What? I mean, it feels like we're caving, and BZ just says, are we caving to a new leader? I still don't, there is no new leader. Everybody keeps talking about this, this dude's son or whatever. This dude's son is either dead or in a coma. The IRGC has been calling the shots now ever since we got down into third tier territory. The problem with that is the IRGC is more militant than even the guys that were above them. So that's why I'm saying this is not a time when you can say, well, ballistic missiles are on the table. What you could have said, and what I'm hoping comes out in the transcripts, is we believe that with these incentives and the different approaches that we have in place, we're going to convince the regime to basically start changing on its own. And that's when we can start discussing its ability to defend itself, etc. When there is a more, less terroristic government, shall we say, in place. But again, the one thing I will say, as much as I wasn't a fan of Vance being his pick in the beginning, I think he is the perfect counterpoint to Trump's often either truncated or sometimes very rambly kind of speeches, because Vance made a bunch of media stops in the last couple of days that were superb. And I'd actually planned on talking about that a lot today too. The problem that I have is, again, assuming that the memorandum of understanding that I have just reviewed is, in fact, the accurate and up-to-date version of the memorandum of understanding, then that means I have to call into question some of those very things that J.D. Vance was just talking about, which does actually give me an excuse to play one of the clips, because I have one from him on The View, or not The View. I have one from The View, but I don't want to play that one. I do have this one, though, from James, who actually did a really good job of co-hosting the 5 yesterday. I actually managed to find that by accident. I normally try to watch the 5 because Gutfeld's on it, and one of the podcasts that I produce, the host of that podcast gets to go on the Gutfeld show a lot. So I normally try to support anything that Gutfeld is on because it helps one of my clients. This was a surprise, though. And up until I saw what appears to be the text of the memorandum of understanding, kind of a pleasant one. But so what we're going to do is I'm going to play this clip. Then we're going to go back into the memorandum. And I'm going to fact check VP Vancy Boy because reasons. Well, hang on. It didn't change. Let me fix it. It didn't change. It was supposed to change to the other feed, and it didn't. All right, so it should be there now. Let me make me go away to reasons. And here we go.
Axios report last night was meaningful, where they said that CIA Director Ratcliffe, Rubio, and Hegseth, based on American intelligence, were doubting the kind of results they thought we could get out of this deal.
So Jessica, let me address a couple of things, because I think you're making the same mistake, unfortunately, that a lot of the Iranian propagandists make when they talk about this,
Like
which
the
is
Wall Street Journal?
they talk about the benefits to the Iranians without any of the things the Iranians would have to give up and have to change in order to get those benefits. So you mentioned a $300 billion fund. I got to be very clear about this. Not a single cent of American money under any circumstance, no matter what the Iranians do, goes to Iran. Not a single cent of
But
American
they get
money.
other money.
Here's what this.
But again, I think there may have been a timeline switch last night and I missed it. I blame CERN. I never in a million years thought I would first have to semi-apologize to Jessica Turlov and say that I'm about to agree with her. Because if the memorandum of understanding that we just read is correct, then they may not get a cent of our money, but they're going to be getting a lot of their own money again. First through oil, then through relief of sanctions. Now, the problem that I have is you hear J.D. Vance say there are mechanisms that are in place where these things will only kick in when certain criteria are met. Nothing about what I have read says that. Point 4, immediately upon the signing of the MOU, the United States of America will begin the removal of its naval blockade and any disturbances or impediments against the Islamic Republic of Iran. And then we'll fully in the naval blockade. Upon signing of the MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts for safe passage of commercial vehicles. That's the first part of point 5. So the thing that we're talking about here is if we reopen the Straits of Hormuz and we stop the Iranian blockade, then guess what? The United States of America under point 6 undertakes with regional partners to develop a definitively mutual agreed plan with at least $300 billion of $300 billion US dollars for the reconstruction and economic development of the Islamic Republic of Iran. So the $300 billion is there, but it doesn't say what the mechanisms are. Point 7, the United States of America undertakes to terminate all types of sanctions against the Islamic Republic of Iran, including the United Nations Security Council resolution, and also in any primary and secondary sanctions as well. Then we're talking about the sale of oil. And I believe it was point 10. Yep, point 10. The United States of America undertakes, but immediately upon the signing of the MOU, not the final deal, and until the termination of sanctions, the U.S. Department of Treasury will issue waivers for the export of Iranian crude oil, petroleum products, and derivatives, and all associated services, including banking transactions, to facilitate those transfers, insurances, and the transportation costs, etc. So, yeah, I enjoyed this clip yesterday. Kind of feel like I've been had today.
This says, for example, let's say that the United Arab Emirates, who have been a great ally, let's say they want to invest in a power plant in Iran. What this deal provides is that if the Iranians have done everything we require them to do, then we will allow the United Arab Emirates to do that, because they can't do that right now without American approval. So we're fundamentally saying if the Iranians transform how they interact with the world, we will transform how the world economy interacts with Iran.
But the MOU doesn't say that, sir. And I say that with all sincerity. Some of these things are slated to begin taking effect Friday if this thing is signed. And I'm not saying it's going to be a quick process. I'm not going to say that there's going to be $3 billion flowing into Iranian coffers starting at 12:01 p.m. Central Time on Friday or whatever time this thing gets signed. But none of the things that you're talking about when you're sitting at this table are anywhere that I have been able to see them. And again, my hope is that the town hall, I think it was Red State. I'm hoping, no, I guess it was town hall. Sorry. I'm hoping this is pulled from the stuff CNN had. So I'm going to go up in just a second and see. So again, this is from Cameron Arkand. And I'm going to read, I don't usually try to read somebody's piece word for word, but we are going to read the first couple of paragraphs just so I can see what I can find. So a senior United States official on background read out the memorandum of understanding between the United States and Iran on Wednesday afternoon with reporters, including town hall. The MOU is expected to be signed in Switzerland on Friday at a ceremony attended by the Vice President J.D. Vance. We're not going to be taking their word for anything, a senior U.S. official said when asked about compliance for Iran's adherence to the deal, particularly when it comes to nuclear development, adding that the U.S. will work very closely with the International Atomic Energy Agency, otherwise known as the IAEA. An official then explained that the timing to release it on Wednesday as opposed to sooner was part of an agreement with Iran. It really comes to trying to be a good partner with them in this new relationship. Why do we need a new relationship with a terrorist regime? And again, this isn't the CNN bit. This is actually, this was read to a room full of reporters, including folks for the parent company that I'm an independent contractor with, Salem Media. I has problems. Not those problems, you assholes. I already knew about those. I don't know. All right, so we're coming to the end of the show anyway, so I might as well at least do the fun bit that I was going to talk about at the end, just so I can, maybe change gears and get ready for tonight's show, since I'll probably, depending on if there is a Behind the Enemy Lines tonight, and I'm included, I'll be live for a total of 4 hours again tonight, because reasons. So we're going to push some of this stuff to Friday because I was going to talk about what's going on with the UK and everything else. As bad as that is, I kind of felt like this took precedent. And if I get any new updates or anything else, I may put it out on my X feed as an article or whatever. But so since we are coming to the end of our time together, this is kind of in the America 250 vein because, as much as I'm disillusioned right now, our country's still awesome. So we're going to end with something that has been making me smile lately. The World Cup has brought foreign fans into America. And as much as I think BZ put it rather aptly about how boring soccer was, but he said it more colorfully than I can. I didn't. So I used to think it was really boring. And then my brother started playing. And at one point I even considered starting to ref and decided not to. So I don't necessarily hate watching it. It's just not as much fun to watch as some of the other stuff. But again, I've been to games in person. And for me, sports is a lot different when you're there. So I enjoy baseball games more when I'm there. I enjoy football games more when I'm there. I enjoy soccer matches more when I'm there. The one sport that is different is rodeo. I have discovered that for me, being there in person, I slept through the entire thing. And my now ex-wife was really, really pissed at me that I slept through the entire thing. I couldn't see anything, though. It's better on TV, which is weird because most sports are not that way. But anyway, so we have been talking about this a little bit on the network because it's been kind of cool. So again, a lot of foreign fans that have never really been to America before are here, and their responses have been kind of interesting. So there's Freddy from Germany, who's been road tripping through the South, discovering things like the Waffle House, Buc-ee's, Walmart, football stadiums, country music, barbecue, although he likes Tennessee version barbecue, so nobody's perfect, and American hospitality. And the best part is that Americans have basically adopted him. They're telling him where to eat. Should have tried the other kind of barbecue. Where to drive, what small town to visit, and what concerts to hit. Where the best barbecue is that's not Tennessee style, and what he has to try before he leaves. The Heartland piece put it this way: the European mind is beginning to comprehend America, and it's funny because the things blowing their minds are the things we barely notice anymore. Waffle House at 1 a.m., Buc-ee's, free refills, a yellow school bus, ranch dressing, a football stadium that looks like a small country with cup holders, a gas station with brisket, 120 pumps, and home decor. America is so abundant that our gas stations actually confuse Europeans. And it reminds me, everyone remember the old Yakov Smirnoff bit? Yakov came here from the Soviet Union and built comedy around that phrase, what a country. One of his old bits was about walking into an American grocery store and seeing powdered milk, powdered orange juice, and then baby powder. It's a joke, obviously, but the joke works because the wonder was real. To someone coming from scarcity, an American grocery store was not just a store. It was the land of milk and honey. And now Freddy is having the same revelation, only the 2026 version. Instead of powdered milk, it's Waffle House. Instead of powdered orange juice, otherwise known as Tang, which was awesome, by the way, it is Buc-ee's. Instead of baby powder, it's a gas station so big it makes Europeans question their version of reality. And here is what hits me. We call it normal. The rest of the world still calls it abundance. And there is a reason this matters, because despite of everything we've talked about today, or actually, I guess, in spite of, it is still America's 250th birthday. Yesterday, I wrote about Fort McHenry and the story behind the anthem. Francis Scott Key, saw the flag still standing after the British bombardment, and that site became the poem that eventually became our national anthem. The key phrase is the flag was still there. The fort had not surrendered. Maybe that's what connects all of this, and that's the part that I think we've lost sight of. They bombarded that place from September 13th to September 14th. I believe it was 1884. That flag was in shambles. It was disheveled. It was full of holes. And even though it was still standing, it was also covered in the blood of patriots who understood that if that flag went down, the British would believe that we had surrendered. This is where this story becomes kind of gruesome but awesome at the same time. Because when the flagpole couldn't do its job anymore, there were people that were standing on the fort and holding the flagpole up and holding it so everybody could still see it. And they knew that they were likely going to die, and they did it anyway. That's why our national anthem is a very poignant song if you listen to the words. And the funny thing is, what inspired this article was a friend of mine on X at APL Mom, otherwise known as Jody, who we have podcast archives. She used to be on a show called The Red Wine all the time, and we still have it archived, was pointing out that there was a British podcast group that was actually watching a story about our national anthem that broke everything down that I wrote about, and they were beside themselves. And the funniest thing is, they're sitting there and they're saying, I don't even know what ours means. Ours just changes all the time depending on whether it's a king or a queen. Ours doesn't really seem to have any cultural significance or anything. And I don't know. I've never paid attention to their anthem. But I do know that even they, once they saw what inspired the anthem, were moved by everything that the anthem was talking about. And even they, I mean, we take it for granted all the time. We're at sporting events. People are standing up, putting their hands over their hearts, or putting their hat over their heart if they have a hat on, and then just singing the national anthem. And they're like, I hear a lot of American people talk, and even in the piece the piece that they were referencing when they were talking about it. The author said how that had become kind of this rote memorization kind of thing that everybody just kind of did it. He's like, I don't see that. When I see these people singing their national anthem, I can see how much it matters to them. So yeah, during America's 250th, this is kind of a reminder, because in the 80s, we had Yakov Smirnoff, who came to the country, saw how good we had it, and made an entire comedy career out of commenting about how good we had it versus how bad he had it where he came from. And then today, we have folks like Freddy. So Yakov Smirnoff comes here from the Soviet Union and sees an American grocery store like it's a miracle. Freddy comes here from Germany and sees Waffle House, Buc-ee's, free refills, road trips, giant stadiums, and strangers welcoming him like family. And we, the people born into it, sometimes can't see it anymore. We boo the anthem. We burn the flag. We act like America is just another country with better snacks and maybe louder trucks. But that's not it at all. The flag still matters because it represents a country people fought to create, fought to defend, and still to this day cross oceans to experience. Not because America is perfect, but because America is possible. So maybe America 250 is a good time to put down the red banner and the blue banner for a minute, especially after today, and pick up the old red, white, and blue again, even if it's only in your heart. Think of all the things we had to go just right for this country to be formed. Think of all the things that had to be survived for that flag to still be there. And maybe, just maybe, we can be proud to be part of it again, even if it is only for a little while, because the rest of the world keeps coming here and seeing the land of milk and honey. Maybe it's time we remembered where it is that we're actually standing. So yes, today was a hard show for me to do. I am very disillusioned at the moment, and I am hoping there's a fresh set of information points that help me come to the realization that maybe I've misunderstood something. Because I'm not even kidding at this point. I'm like, I might as well just start doing a show about comic books. Anyway, here's hoping that new information comes to light. And I'll be back again tonight starting at 7 p.m. Eastern for the extended edition of Kingdom and Country Bible Study. And since we are doing a 2-hour edition, when normally we only do 1 hour and then do another hour on Sundays, I have made the executive decision that I am taking Sunday night off because it is Father's Day. So you get 2 hours of that tonight. So if you miss part of it, you can always come back and check out the replay in our usual time slot on Sunday night if you want to. And that's it. I'm done. I'm gonna go up my copium dosage for a while and see if I can get through the rest of this day, because holy crap. Anyway, my name is Rick Robinson. This is my show. I'll be back with this one on Friday afternoon, noon my time, 1 in the East and 10 a.m. in the West. And then, like I said, I'll be back tonight starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central. That's it. I know. Normally I have like this fancy show clothes prepped. I got nothing. I was even going to give Trump props because he's starting to play hardball over the SAVE Act. What? I can't do it. Bye, everybody. Say goodnight, Gracie.